When kids are anxious, often a parent's first reaction is to try to do whatever it takes to make the anxious feelings go away. And I talk with a lot of parents who tell me that if they get a call from the nurse's office or from a teacher that the kid is feeling anxious that day, that their immediate response is to go and pick them up at school. I spoke with psychologist Lynn Lyons, who's a social worker and author of the book Anxious Kids, Anxious Parents. And she discussed exposure therapy, which is when you teach kids to face whatever it is that they're feeling anxious about. This helps them create new ways to deal with anxiety rather than doing all they can to avoid anxiety-provoking situations. Here's Lynn.
So the way that I imagine when I'm dealing with anxiety, the way that I conceptualize it in my head is that it's a cult leader, C-U-L-T, right? So anxiety shows up, and it shows up in a family, it shows up in a school, it shows up in a person, and it, like any cult leader, says, all right, these are the things I want, these are my demands, and you need to meet my demands. Now with anxiety, the demands are certainty and comfort. That's what it wants. It wants to know everything that is going to happen. It wants to know things ahead of time, and it wants to feel comfortable as it moves through life. And so anxiety says, as long as you meet my demands, we're cool. And so what happens is a family or a school or a person tries to arrange the world such that the cult leader gets what it wants. And so what happens is that we get stuck in the content of what the anxiety is about or the worry is about. And a content-based intervention is that we're going to rearrange the world in order to appease the cult leader. So I'm worried, if I'm fearful that I'm going to vomit, well, I'm going to make sure that there is nothing around me that could contaminate me. I'm going to carry my hand sanitizer. I'm worried that I'm going to vomit, so the second grade teacher has a big, gallon pumper of Purell so that I can use that anytime I want. I'm going to limit my diet. I'm going to make sure that if there's a stomach flu going around, a stomach bug going around school, that I'm going to not go to school. Content, when you're in the content, that means that you are focusing on the external and rearranging. When you're in the process, that means you're understanding how worry works, how slash anxiety works, and you are stepping back from it, and you are observing it, and then you are doing the opposite of it. If we can get in there early, and we can teach kids the ability to tolerate uncertainty, to be independent problem solvers, to allow a growing sense of autonomy. If we can teach kids that disappointment is a part of taking risks, if we can widen their emotional vocabulary and normalize this range of experience, then we are being preventative. The very same things that I am teaching kids who have anxiety disorders are the very things that I want to teach a group of little first graders that are learning how to navigate through the world. And the same goes for teenagers. There was a young student that I was working with. He was in middle school, and giving presentations was really hard for him. So we talked a lot about expecting certain things to happen in his body. So while he was giving the presentation, his face was going to get red. While he was giving his presentation, his hands were going to shake. While he was giving his presentation, his mouth might get dry, so make sure he brings a little water so that he can drink some water while he's speaking. Rather than saying, when you give the presentation, right, the goal is for you to feel calm and confident and be able to do it, I'm going to say, you're going to go in and you're going to feel shaky, you're going to blush, your voice is going to be a little weird, and let's step in and let's have you manage that, because we are stepping in on purpose in order to give your brain a different experience. So there's a lot of coaching that goes on. I think that this kind of work isn't possible unless I have connection, unless I have trust, and unless the kids that I'm working with and the families that I'm working with absolutely understand my intent. That they have, I call it front loading. And in order for kids to step in and put themselves in these situations, they have to understand what I'm doing. And they have to buy in. When we step into this, when we get on offense, And when we do the opposite of what the worry is demanding, the symptoms do go down. So what people have to understand is that if you go into it with this elimination strategy of sort of like, oh, I can't feel this, I can't feel this, you're not going to get anywhere. But if you go into it with this sort of like, let's go, and if you have the expectation that you're going to experience it, then the symptoms actually do go down. What we're trying to do is we're trying to give the amygdala a different message here. Because the amygdala, your fight or flight system, learns from you and from experience what's dangerous and what's not dangerous. So we're laying down some new pathways here. And what we want to do is we want to take this energized system, because anxiety is a very energized system, and we want to step in, and the term is, we talk about habituation, being in the situation and allowing the brain to relearn. So the experiment, the reason I like the word experiment is because one of the things that people say is, well, what if you give this exposure assignment to a kid and it goes horribly wrong? I go, well, but that's the experiment. Then we're going to do a post-game analysis. Then we've got some data to work with. So I'm always making lots of room for kids to step in and learn about themselves. But the problem that I see is that we keep trying to set it up so that we can guarantee success when they experiment. And that's a trap. So I say, okay, so you felt the anxiety. We knew that was going to happen. Now you got through it. Now the difference between when you refused to do it completely and when you just gave your 3-minute presentation is you got through it. So let me step back and ask you, what did you do differently this time? What's the difference between you stepping in and getting through it compared to you refusing to do it completely? And I'm going to ask questions. How did you do it? How did you do it? So what a parent has to do is a parent has to shift their mentality a little bit. And instead of saying, all right, so if my child feels uncomfortable or distressed, that means they shouldn't be doing this. And a parent being able to say, of course, I mean, I say all the time, I couldn't do my job if I didn't have the 2 words, of course. So as a parent, how do we show love and support and encouragement and still allow for our kids to feel distress? So it's not this all or nothing or this either or thing. And what I want parents to say is to say, well, it sounds like your worry is showing up, right? What are you going to say back?
Thank you for watching this video. We publish new videos every week, so if you enjoy this sort of content, please like and subscribe to the channel.